Elephants.
Drink.
Don't tell me Jeff Kennedy's got the bloody Lifetime Achievement Award. This is the guy that bloody took coffee to the supermarkets and sold his fucking company to the Japanese. And this is the New Zealand Roasters Association has given him the Lifetime Achievement Award. It's a bloody fast.
We were sitting around and we were sort of pretty out of it. We were thinking about things and musing on life as you do. But Jeff was thinking about how he was going to make his fortune, like a real fortune, a big fortune. Came on him that he was going to get into the cocaine business because everyone in it were killers and idiots and morons. He could go to Bogota and just be really nice and take over, and he looked really evil and people would fear him, and But I said to him, Jeff, I think that's a really stupid idea, There's got to be other things you can do, And anyway, it was quiet there, and then I said to him, why don't you think about getting into the coffee business, I was thinking cocaine, Colombia, South America, coffee, get into the coffee business. And he went, yeah, sure, that's a good idea. And, the rest is history.
I had never thought of Jeff as being particularly interested in coffee or even liking coffee. I don't know that he even liked coffee very much.
Sometimes you do things that start things that you don't really like, or you don't necessarily. A lot of people work here that don't drink coffee or like it. But he saw what I think potentially it would do.
Jeff Kennedy. The first time I met Jeff Kennedy, I remember it was a Friday night. Me and Tim had Midnight Espresso. It was a place back then in the late 80s where everyone used to come. Jeff Kennedy came and he was like, got talking, goes, I want one of these, I want a cafe like this, I want to have a cafe, I'm going to build a cafe like this. We said, cool. So he built this cafe down on the back street and he sold fancy knives and clogs. And it was just after the recession. No one wanted fancy clogs and knives.
And that was failing, so everyone had to come in and buy lots of imported hospo gear that they didn't really want, but he was very good at telling people what to buy, which they didn't need. So
went down there one day and it was empty, no one was there, and our cafes were full of people and it was not really working. I said, why don't you roast good coffee? No one was roasting good coffee in Wellington. So he goes, good idea. So he bloody brought a coffee roaster
and we had a tiny little, I think it was a 5 kilo roaster set up in the corner.
I think probably under roasted for those first couple of years, but I came to Wellington, held his hand on the Probat to stop it opening up when he thought it was ready, and told him that was the best roast of the day.
It literally was week to week. It was like whether we'd be open next week or not.
And he started roasting coffee, and me and Tim were his biggest customers, and all this coffee just kept turning up. We didn't order, all the bags and bags of coffee, and I went down there and said, look, Jeff, I said, it's really good that you're roasting coffee and everything, it's starting to work. I said, but your coffee's fucking tastes like shit. I said, we're going to roast our own coffee.
I probably wouldn't have thought about opening a cafe or starting a coffee roasting company if I hadn't spent a bit of time down at Collins Street with Jeff Kennedy, talking to him about coffee, watching how the operation worked. We opened Red's in Willis Street in September 1992. And right up until about a week before we opened, we were going to use L'affare as our coffee supplier. We'd bought a Pavoni, one of those dreadful old PSEI Pavonis from Jeffrey. And then at the last minute we switched and we started using Bellaroma as a coffee supplier, and Jeff was slutted.
I know he looks always grumpy and sort of miserable, but that's his way, the way he lives, but he's not, he seems to be pretty free.
Now, the irony is Jeff was probably responsible for us starting Supreme and me getting into the business, but he probably wasn't overly comfortable when we bought a coffee company and got cracking. Tension. Were there moments where there was tension between Jeffrey and I? Oh, for sure. It was quite amusing, really. We kind of prowl around each other. And in fact, with both Jeffs and myself, the three of us would prowl around each other, kind of watching what the other guy was doing and trying to have a yarn, but at the same time thinking, is this bastard going to try and stab me in the back the moment I walk out the door? Didn't happen.
But it was a much more fun days because it was much more, we're all carving out the industry.
So he was up here on this table 21 and lying on the table and doing a striptease show.
he took the office girls out for a sail one afternoon, and it ended up being a wet t-shirt competition.
He was a naughty lad, and definitely different.
Every week or two, he'd ring me up and say, "Oh, I've got this great idea. Let's have a coffee police. Let's have people running around the country stamping out bad coffee."
His mind goes all the time, and he's always looking for the new big thing.
So when Jeff has an idea, like for a business venture, you think he's telling you jokes about some wild thing, but when you look at him, he's actually being serious.
You'd progress with them and you'd work hours and hours on them, and you'd find he'd lost interest in it, really. He'd be on to something else.
And he has this ability to be able to see trends in advance.
Oh, Jeff's got a sixth sense for seeing, I guess, that for recognising people that maybe have skills that he doesn't.
Jeff has got a wonderful way of if he's got an intuition about a person that he wants to be working with them, he makes sure that he gets you pulled in.
One of Jeff's main talents, I think, is he always had a knack to surround himself with good people.
I met Jeff. It all went wrong from there. Well, it's been a roller coaster. A roller coaster.
For you?
Well, for working so closely with Jeff, a lot of people seem to have come into contact with L'affare and Jeff over the years and moved on to other things, whereas I've worked with him, for him, and alongside him for almost 20 years, and that's been, like I say, a roller coaster ride.
He can look at something that maybe you or I would look at and we'd think, oh God, what's that? And he'd go, yeah, I can make that work.
It's Jeff's never-ending stream of ideas rather than the follow-through that you remember him for.
He's an amazing guy with great ideas. It's just hard to keep up with him sometimes because his ideas change, from minute to minute.
He's always been totally innovative and comes up with left-wall ideas, but they are always great ideas. He's definitely able to think out of the square. He never thinks in the square.
He's never, ever satisfied with anything that he's achieved. Everything's always broken and needs fixing, and anything is possible. If it can't be done, then Jeff will certainly have a crack at it.
Definitely a madman. That's what I love about him.
Completely mad. Totally mad. Idiot. Moron.
He's unusual.
He was a naughty lad.
So sometimes he's a bit stranger than others, and sometimes he's a bit better than others.
He's a mad genius.
Jeff, yes, is a genius. Kennedy, the madman.
But he did have a reputation for being a naughty boy.
Very clever man, in my opinion.
Everything is doable, nothing's too big.
Madman.
Well, Jeffrey is mad. He's a mad genius, really.
Mad genius, probably haven't seen him do anything exceptionally bright.
He's a legend. Yeah, he's a guru.
I'm totally mad, totally mad.
Good on you, Jeff, for getting this award. I think that it's deserving that you get it. You've contributed a lot to the coffee industry and made it what it is in New Zealand today.
I think Jeff is is a rare person who is always willing to follow his intuition, and his intuition is very rarely wrong. And I think that's what makes him a sort of childlike genius, that he somehow has access to his inner hunches, and he's got the courage to just act on them. They don't always work out, but very, very often they do.
It's a very equal place to go, a very unthreatening place to go. Children can go, men and women can go, young people can go, and treat it as part of their everyday life.